TJ, the Wheel Deal, coming at you live with a special edition of Wheelers. The band is back together. Bill White, how are you, my man?
Good, TJ. Been a while. How you been?
It's been about 2 seconds since you helped me with my Excel disaster over here. People have no idea how much you have helped me, dude. They just don't know. You and Troy Hutch have been my Excel angels. I mean, I was so frustrated, dude. I was so frustrated with my job that I have for the family, managing the portfolios for us and stuff. Because I hated doing the accounting. I hated doing the bookkeeping. I was like, it's hard enough to find a stock that I believe in. It's hard enough to pick strike price, play price wars with the stock market. And then now I got to go do all this bean counting, right? So I had all this frustration to the point where I didn't want to do it anymore. And then Troy Hutch reaches out and he's like, hey, I use this tracker. I sell options also. And that's how the wheel tracker happened. And then you put it on steroids. And then now that I'm on TASTYTRADE, I don't really need the wheel tracker per se, but I still have my little generic one that I started with. That's kind of like my snapshot, right? Of like what I got on. And I just need to know the extrinsic value and whether it's in the money or stuff. Just something I can print out and look at. That way I'm not like glued to the phone all the time. And I use it.
You've come a long way, though. You've come a long way. I remember you couldn't even right click before.
The option spent like 20 minutes with me, dude, walking me through it. It's just that it's hard to do it on Apple, right? Like, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Why is it Microsoft, or I don't know who runs the other platforms, but why is it so much easier to click on something that isn't?
It's just I think a default setting. So they give you the option to do it, but you have to know how to change that default setting, and it's not exactly intuitive.
Yeah. So anyway, how you been, man? How you been? Like, walk us through your journey. Let's catch the audience up with what's Bill White been up to. And then we're waiting on Sergio to link up. Possibly Hugo Snowball might be joining us as well. And I want to have a candid conversation about short and covered strangles, because covered strangles have been my bread and butter pretty much since day one. I was able to do those on Robinhood. On TASTYTRADE, you can do short strengths. You're allowed to go skinny dipping naked, right? On TASTYTRADE, just the way that you're able to do on Charles Schwab and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So it's intoxicating. But I want to have a candid conversation about the gimmies and the gotchas, because I feel like a lot of people follow me into a lot of these trades and stuff. And the last thing that I want to do is feel responsible for somebody ruining, blowing up their accounts, if you will. But walk me through what you've been going through. I mean, what's been going on with you? It's been a while since we have an episode of Wheelers.
Well, I think my trading's getting better by just not clicking as many buttons. I've been pretty busy at work. I work for a boat manufacturing and service company, but we recently the owner also owns, marine supply warehouses and retail stores. So I've been kind of running those as well. And just being busy has actually made my trading better. But it's also kind of helped me realize that retirement can't come soon enough. So, just trying to count down the days. But if there's people out there that, that are always looking for the new shiny object, I think you might want to take a step back and, realize that, clicking less buttons might actually help you significantly in your trading. And another thing I noticed is I'm still trading a lot of the same stocks. I'll pepper a new one in here and there, but just trading the same stocks over and over and over again. Now it's coming on a few years. It's actually becoming extremely easy, maybe a little monotonous, but it's the results are there they're there. So, I just maybe try not to overcomplicate things. And, like everyone else, I watch a lot of YouTube channels and whatnot, and I'm always kind of seeing new stocks and seeing if they'll work for me, but just kind of stay away from the new shiny object syndrome and just stick to what works. And that's what's going to make you the most money at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that is very similar to my real estate mentality. So I've always looked at collecting premiums, and I've equated that to owning a house and collecting rent, right? Like selling a covered call is the equivalent of collecting rent if you have a rental property. The big difference is you got to put your house up for sale over here, right? Whereas you don't have to put your house up for sale if it's just a lease, right? If you're just renting your home. So that's a, a real big distinction, if you will. But that being said, I'm like, oh, I never want to have a vacant rental home if I was in that business. So I wouldn't want any squatters, right? I want people paying the rent and whatnot. But the one thing that I know that I wouldn't be doing is every month trying to sell that house, buying another one, going and putting another renter in there and doing that over and over again, because that's just not realistic in real estate, because it takes a month, 2 months to even close on a property, right? So when you get your hands on a good rental property that has positive cash flow, reasonable maintenance, taxes, etc., you're like, hey, I can make money here, I can cash flow, and I'm in it for capital appreciation, the house is going to go up in value, and I'm going to do that for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Somebody else is going to pay my mortgage. That's the real estate mindset, and a lot of people have gotten wealthy with that mindset. So when I got into the stock market, I brought in that mindset because I've had rental properties. So I don't want to be going in from stock to stock to stock. I'm like, dude, if the going's good here, if the well hasn't run dry, if it's still keeping my family well fed, why am I out there looking for another stock? If this one's tried and true, I've gotten used to the price action. I've gotten used to, if it's the miners, I've been able to handle the dilution. I've been able to handle good earnings reports, shitty earnings reports, etc. It becomes less work because you're so familiar, right?
Especially if the long-term thesis hasn't changed for you.
Exactly. So that's what I've never understood about people that are so enamored with the next play. I'm like, I'm enamored with the next play on the stocks that I'm already in. I'm like, what does that mean? I can't wait to get close to 21 days to expiration so I can do this shit all over again. Maybe expand the highway a little bit if Palantir wants to continue to go to the freaking moon. Salute Palantir, right? Let me just adjust myself accordingly so I can keep making a couple $100,000 a month, because that's gotten very addictive to me. And that's it. But I'm not looking for the next Palantir. I'm already in it. I'm not looking for the next Tesla. I'm already in it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not looking for the next Bitcoin miner. I already got two of the best in Riot and CleanSpark. Yeah. So I feel like that there's one thing I want to emphasize with you guys here tonight on the special edition of Wheelers. Is you need to cure yourself. You need to purge yourself from shiny object syndrome, because it can make you a lot of money, but it can also cost you a lot of money. And more importantly than that, it can cost you a lot of time. Because you know how much I have to research Riot and CleanSpark these days, guys? You know how much I have to research SoFi these days? Not much. I don't research Tesla anymore. What is there to research? I'm just what did the Donald tweet today? What did Elon tweet today? That's it. How many shares did Kimball sell? Because that's the top for Tesla. This dude is like the Nancy Pelosi for Tesla, right? He knows when the top is. He sells shares all the time. I'm just like, that's the shit I'm looking at. I ain't like, talk to me if Robotaxi gets postponed or canceled. That changes the investment thesis a little bit, right? A lot of points.
Yeah.
So I don't know why people are always looking for more stocks if you're able to get 2, 3, 4% a month on the shit that you already have, and it's good and you're comfortable. What is it about the easy money that people are so allergic to? I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. Like, help me to understand. I want the crowd to help me to understand. And Bill, what is it? Because you had shiny object syndrome at one point. I had it also.
I still do. But it's about controlling it. It's I think people get really excited about it's almost like a new adventure, a new stock, something interesting. I've just gotten more and more interested in I get more excited on collecting my next payment. So to me, that's more important than being right about the next stock. I'm very selective on what stocks really enter my portfolio, and that's okay. I don't care. I get more excited about the cash flow. I get more excited about winning. If you can consistently win, then your life is going to be better. You're going to be bringing in a lot of money at some point. So I could really care less about the shiny objects. Not to say I never look for something new, but it's tough to convince me that to I might dabble here and there, but it's tough to convince me that something should be a core holding or a core, stock that I'm trading.
It takes a lot of work to build like these. To me, an investment thesis is formed over like a year and a half for me. Like I gotta go through the cycle, just like getting in a relationship. You gotta go through the 4 seasons a couple of times to really get to know someone. What I mean by that? I'm not just talking about the highs and lows of life. I'm talking about how does the woman act? How do you act together in the summertime? How do you act in the spring? How do you act in the autumn, the fall, winter? People's personalities change going through the season of life, going through the weather, all of those things. So it's real important to make a couple of trips around the sun with your significant other to see if you're truly compatible, so y'all can do this thing called life. Well, to me, that's what it is with the stock as well. I got to go through the seasons. Some stocks have slow seasons. Some stocks have busy seasons. Some stocks are really, really good around Christmas time. They're retail oriented. Some stocks, not so much. Some stocks are very dependent on data, like, the interest rates and stuff like that, right? The solar plays, the Teslas and whatnot. So you got to go through the seasons. You got to go through the seasons of an earnings report where they overpromised and underdelivered, and go through the earnings season where they underpromised and overdelivered, a la SoFi, right? So you have Tesla where they overpromise and underdeliver a lot. You have SoFi where they underpromise and overdeliver a lot. So you got to be able to navigate all of that stuff. How does your stock react to a positive earnings report, a positive catalyst in the market, somebody writing good stuff about them, somebody writing bad stuff about them? Like all of those are the seasons, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So that's why when people throw all these damn tickers out at me, I'm like, hey, dude, hold up the brakes a little bit. Why do you want me to work more to get the same percentage that I'm getting over here? And I've already been through the seasons. We've already made a couple, 2 or 3 or 4 trips around the sun. So you got to have a real compelling fucking argument for me to get excited about that. It's just real tough. And that's why I feel like sometimes I don't jive with the crowd that much, because they'll throw a ticker and I disregard it very, very quickly, because in order to truly form an investment thesis for me, because I'm an investor who learned how to sell options, not the other way around. I'm not a trader. A lot of people think I'm a trader. No, I'm an investor who learned how to sell options around his investments. Yep. Because I found that earning shares with other people's money was very intoxicating. And I want to keep doing that. I'm playing this game called, I want to have an adjusted cost basis of 0. I want to own a shitload of shares of SoFi with your money. Because then, if they hit their numbers, great. Galileo hits their numbers, great. It's your money, not mine. I already got paid a penny with the premiums. That's the game that I'm playing. I don't know what movie y'all are watching. I'm the star of this movie, and I'm telling you, that's the game I'm playing, right? This is reality TV where I'm telling you what the fucking playbook is. So, I don't know. That's how I cured myself from shiny object syndrome, is I just didn't want to do the work anymore. I'd rather just get good at learning everything that I could about my beloved Riot and whatnot. And CleanSpark is, we're going on the 2nd trip around the sun on CleanSpark. And I'm really liking it. Private jet and all. Maybe one day I'll get a ride in it. like, shoot, dude. Like, I'm excited because I like where they're going. It's a pure play miner. They're really efficient. They're growing. They're hodl. They've already said they're not going to dilute. It takes a long time to learn about that. Or you could just do ChatGPT and Grok and learn it in 2 minutes. But it takes a couple of trips around the sun before you start believing it, if that makes sense. Mm. See, this is the real goal that I'm going to give you all right here, right now, before Sergio comes on. It's really easy to form an investment thesis. It takes a couple of years to believe your investment thesis. To really believe in it. There's nobody that can talk me out of Riot. There's nobody that can talk me out of SoFi except Jason Less and Anthony Noto when I stop believing what they have to say on the conference calls, right? On the earnings calls. The day that I stop believing what they have to say, that's when the investment thesis is broken, because the story and the numbers are nowhere near matching it. Because I have a real solid investment thesis with those companies. I have a real solid investment thesis with Tesla. And I'm able to deal with the antics of Elon Musk, but it's difficult. I mean, you've been in Tesla. Dude, it's a hard stock to own, yes or no?
it's like a blessing and a curse because it somehow always ends up working out in the best for me, but in the moment I'm always kind of like, Jesus, what is going on here? Like, it'll be down in the 230 again, and then it'll shoot up to 340, and luckily the trades that I'm making are working out, but yeah, it could be a, I don't know, like mental gymnastics or something. But it can be tough. But at the end of the day, it's kind of all been worth it for me. And if all went bad right now, like you're saying, if I got assigned every put that I have of Tesla, all those shares would really be free. That's how much I've made in premiums. So at the end of the day, is it that bad? You gotta look at it from that lens.
Absolutely. That being said, it is important. Like, to me, I've always said that a watch list is a very important tool in the toolbox. And it's important to have a watch list. It's important to have, so it's like you have your core five, right? Like I always say, find your five. And I got that from my buddy Greg, because he said, if you want to have success in life, you need to go find your five people that are going to go do life with you. And one of those five better be your spouse. So you have 4 more openings. That's it. And you can do life. You can have an amazing life, but you need to have people that are okay with you winning, even if you win more than them. Because a true friend is okay with you doing better than them. A friend that's like, they want you to do well, but not as well as them, that's not really a true friend. That's a friend of me, right? You don't need those people in your life. So that's where, when I did the Wheelers seminar, I said, you got to go find your five. Let's do the hard thing first. Go find your five. Who can you build a life with? Who can you build a portfolio with, so you can be loud and proud on a portfolio, right? Like, stand strong with it through thick and thin. So you got to find your five. I had to go to like 50 to find those five. But then I got to have 5 more in the background. It's like the NFL, it's like the NBA, it's the MLB. What am I talking about? They have a draft every year, right? Because eventually the Tom Brady's of the world retire and they move on to something else. The LeBron James, they retire, they move on to something else. Kobe Bryant retires, perishes, moves on to something else, right? That's just what happens. It's a cycle of life. So you got to have your 5 on the bench, but they're starting to get some play time. So that's your shiny object syndrome. Your bench becomes your shiny object syndrome, like using a basketball analogy, because tomorrow's game 6 of the finals, right? So you have your starting 5, and then you got your 5 on the bench. Mm-hmm. You're like, kind of like, taking them out on a date here and there, cheating on your wife over here, so to speak, in the stock market. Don't do it literally. This is figuratively. So your 5 are the wives, right? We're all Mormons, so we have multiple wives in the stock market. So we got our 5, and then we got our 5 on the bench. And past that, I just think you're doing yourself a disservice, because it's just too much work, dude. You're a real smart guy, Bill. Way smarter than I am. Can you honestly keep up with 10 stocks and really, really know everything that's going on with the company that is pertinent? And running your busy life, happily married with a child, running a multi-million-dollar boat operation or whatever the hell y'all doing, building those fancy boats that not even I can afford. I mean, it's busy. It's a busy life, right?
Yeah.
You're going to sit there and read every article, have a conversation with Brock about, your 10 companies or whatever, follow every earnings report, every short report, all that stuff. And sometimes your stocks are under attack, right? I mean, dude, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't do it. I mean, that's why I kind of utilize YouTube. I have I wouldn't say I have a huge position in SoFi. I have a huge, put a large amount of puts in SoFi, but I watch Tanner, he's doing the work for me.
Yeah.
Over time, I've seen what he has. I've listened to what he said. I've confirmed what he said. I think he does a good job explaining it. I think he understands the numbers, so I can rely on the things that he says. I might not come to the same decision as him all the time, but I'm at least getting all the correct information, right? So, I mean, that's what YouTube's great for. But if I had to do that all on my own, no, it's a complete pain in the ass, and I just probably wouldn't do it, right? So, I'm looking for things that would really change the overall kind of big thesis on a ticker. You know, all the little stuff that's great. You know, it's good to know, good to get the watch the YouTube video and get that information. But I'm most of the time I'm you know if it's not significant information, it's just a nice to know, and I move on. But I'm not going to spend that much time. I'm going to spend more time with my daughter, right? I'm not going to spend it going through the 10K.
Yeah, and I think that's the that's the thing. You know, there's priorities in life, right? Like for me, it's my God, my family, my friends, my relationships, and then the stock market. Believe it or not, it's way down there for me. But I position myself to be able to maintain my priorities in that order, because when I put God first, my life started clicking. So I tried it my way for a long time and I couldn't make it work. So then I just like gave my life up to God. You know, my daughter passed away, had a big old long talk with my mom and dad, and they're like, hey, why don't you just put Christ at the center and everything else will fall into place. What's meant to be will stay, and what isn't will go away. And that's just the way that life's going to work for you, amigo, and all that stuff. And we agreed on it. And that's what I did. And boom, my life just took off. Like I live a life that I couldn't have authored it. If I, couldn't have done it on paper, it wouldn't have came out like this. But it's just something that worked out for me because I just trusted, right? So nothing will ever change those priorities for me. That's why I can't take on too much work, because then now it's like the stock market becomes my God, and I'm not interested in doing that. You follow me? Mm-hmm. So I just want to confess that to you guys, because I feel like I have blown a lot of people off over the last 2 or 3 years on this channel. When they give me a ticker, this isn't your channel for that. I don't have that channel that wants to talk about 40 or 50 stocks on a daily basis. I want to show you how I can grow this thing to $100 million with a handful of stocks. Because there's a beautiful thing out there called life that I want to live. There's a beautiful world out there. I don't know if y'all been following the journey, but we've been seeing a little bit more of it here lately, because traveling is important to us. We want to do it while we're young and we're able to. Because what's the point of traveling in your 70s and 80s if it's like everything becomes a chore at that point, right? Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I just turned 50. I can still get around pretty well. My wife's, 41. So she's able to get around a lot better than I am. So we're kind of in a hurry to go see the world, if that makes sense. So, studying an extra 5 or 10 tickers a night, really not really wanting to keep up with those moving averages. And it isn't, so Tesla's it's like in 3 trends right now, right? It's like from December 2024, it's been on a downtrend, right? But then it's like, then it was on an uptrend when it went over 295. And then now it's kind of like going back on the downtrend. So like to be able to keep up with all that crap with like 10 other stocks, no way. I think it's just ridiculous. Because why is it important? TA is important for what I do, because we're playing price wars. Every time you sell a cash secured put, you're playing price war with the stock market. You're making a bet saying, hey, I'm going to buy these shares at this price. I'm going to sell these shares, cover a call or short call or whatever, at this price by a certain date, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you're gonna have to implement technical analysis to do that. I did 1 year of selling options and never looking at the technicals. I just looked at the deltas. And luckily I was in a very strong bull run because of COVID. But if I'd have done that and only looking at the deltas, and we were in a different market, I could have gotten wrecked, and I wouldn't be here. I'd have probably just gone back to the oil field. Because I was just like, dude, it's probably real important to know where your support is, where your resistance is, where the laws of supply and demand are with these stocks. Where are the buyers stepping in, where are the sellers, cashing out and all that stuff, because there's a lot of patterns that tend to repeat themselves on the chart. The chart is just basically telling you, hey, this is what happened last time. Not to say that that's what's going to happen this time, but there's a chance that it can. So let's go over some of these questions real quick. This is Wheeler's Life Q&A, and then I'm going to reach out to Sergio to see if he's going to join us after all or not. There was one that had something about clean spark. There we go. What do you think about my trade? I sold 50 TSOL puts. Not clean sparks, TSOL. At $8 strike and got paid a little over $4,000 in premium for it. I'd say you can probably learn how to golf starting 90-day trade. You can probably learn how to golf if you don't already. And you can probably go from shooting a 120 if you've never golfed before. And if you solid golf, 90 days solid, you can probably get under 100 with the right coaching. And you have a better chance of getting under 100 than this put going into money. So what I'm saying, I think it's a great trade. You have to look. Go do life. You made $4,000, and if you happen to get assigned at $8, well, you could take assignment and then just sell covered calls at $8 if it dipped a little lower, or sell covered calls at like 9 or 10, and now you have two ways of making money. You have the premiums and you have the capital appreciation as well. So I'd say that's a pretty dang good trade. You can.
Is my math wrong? Was that a 10%? What was the strike? $8?
Yeah, $8 got 4 and 50 contracts. So what is that?
40 grand. So 4,000 on 40 grand, 10% for 90 days.
It's 3% a month. I'd take it.
Well, yeah, I mean, or just multiply that by 4 and annualize it, right?
Yeah.
40%. Like, let's just rough numbers. 40% annualized return. I think that's pretty good.
Me too. I agree. Rocket Labs really worked out, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had 20,000 of those shares, guys. And I've never sold a call against them. All I want to do is sell the shares sometimes because there's something about Jimmy Neutron. That's what I know. It's all about this Neutron thing. And I am just not interested in the space. There's just nothing that can happen that's going to get me interested in that space. I've never been interested in it since I was a kid. Went to NASA on a field trip, and I was bored out of my damn mind at NASA in Houston. Bored out of my mind. I'm just not interested. Just for whatever reason, I'm not interested. I've seen that movie Interstellar twice. I kind of got it this last time because I got Garcia on the phone, and he walked me through it. Because it's one of his favorite movies. Because I like the actor, like Matthew McConaughey. All right. I'm a UT alum as well. So I'm like excited to see that movie, but I'm just like, and then I saw The Martian, and there was another one I think called Gravity back in the day that I like. So I tried to watch these movies because they tend to have good actors, but I'm not real interested in them. Never seen the Star Wars movies.
I've never been into Star Wars. People probably roast me for that one. I've always thought they were horrible. But the one part of the whole space thing that I am interested in is how it's going to impact us here. So just even the way of satellite communication and things like that. So they're sending things up into space, but to actually help us here. I'm a little less interested in just like going to Mars or something here. But it's definitely interesting. I don't have a huge position in Rocket Lab, but I have been. I do sell a lot of puts on Rocket Lab. I had calls at one point, so yeah, I've done pretty well. I'm interested in. I know more about it than I lead on.
There's a lot of people really into it. I guess there's ASTS is one too because there was the fallout between Trump and Elon, and SpaceX is going to pull out, and so now the government reached out to these other companies to see if they could pull. Make up the slack or whatever, pick up the slack, whatever the term is. Uh-huh. So they got a little bit more juice behind them, right? Uh-huh. So I think that it's a real big market, and it's important what they do, like sending satellites out there to improve our communication and all those things. And, the big brother, right, the eye in the sky, whatever the hell they do over there. It's probably all very important. I'm just not interested. So I don't know that the Rocket Labs or anything would ever be a core holding per se. The only one that could become, and it's only because I'm such a fan of Elon, exactly like a love-hate relationship with Elon, is SpaceX, right? SpaceX were to go public, then just by default, I would just be interested more so because it's more just a continued bet on Elon versus the actual like what they're trying to do. And do I believe that people are going to live on Mars and shit? I do not believe that for 1 second in our lifetime. 2 or 3 generations from now, who the hell knows, right? Because look at 2 or 3 generations ago and look at now, the world has changed a lot.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. Yeah, that, you brought up a good point, though. What kind of keeps me from going, establishing a big position in a Rocket Lab or ASTS, I think there's going to be more than one winner, right? But there's just something that tells me that Elon's going to win long term, and he kind of has some sort of plan that the others haven't quite figured out. How long that takes, I'm not sure, but that's kind of what's always kept me from establishing like big position in Rocket Lab is I do think you're probably going after the number 2 or number 3 player.
Yeah. Let's welcome Sergio.
Hello, everyone.
How are you, Sergio?
Excellent. How about you?
It's
How
good.
was your vacation?
It's always fun having you on the channel, Sergio, because I feel like I'm getting coaching without having to pay for it. Sergio has 30 years, probably about 20 years more of experience than I do. He understands options at a very, very high level as well. He's always focused on capital efficiency. And the one thing that I love the most out of Sergio is that this dude is just never going to marry a stock. He's a serial dater. He's a serial cheater. He's not marriage material in the stock market. Probably happily married in his real life, but in the stock market, he's the player he probably wishes he could be in real life.
There are many fish in the ocean. In fact, I had one. I have 2 actually. One got called away, and a lot of my viewers said, "Why don't you roll and do this and do that?" I go, "No, I'm good. Stocks are to be bought and sold. Once in a while, generational stocks, maybe, yeah. But everybody has a different opinion when it comes to that. So to me, if you've been in Mag 7 for the last 20 years, great. But otherwise, all these stocks are to be bought and sold, and they move enough so you can make actually decent returns on your capital because they move a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway. But how was your vacation? Was it good?
What? I'm sorry?
How was your vacation?
Oh, dude. I'm still there mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recharge, regroup.
It was awesome. The Ritz jabbed us for some extra money. And we normally don't even look at, how they send you the folio or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? I see it on the email, but
when you check out, yeah.
Yeah, for whatever reasons, I clicked on it. I just clicked on it. I never do, dude. I never do. And I started just like reading this shit, and I was like, "Hey, babe, what?" Dude, my baby gets on the phone and goes Stanford on their ass, and she gets us some money back real quick.
Let me talk to the manager.
Dude, that was like some ridiculous charges for like some just absolute bullshit that was not us.
That's the Ritz for you.
And I think that resorts like the Ritz-Carlton, they bank on people not looking at their shit.
Probably.
So for whatever reasons, I felt compelled to see the damage. And luckily, we might have $700-800 going back on the Amex.
Hey man, you got it. I checked. I never checked before, but then I ran into the same problem with like you, and now I always check. They go like, "Oh, should we just email this to you?" Like, no, let me take a look at it. Can you just print it for me right on the spot so we don't have to chase anybody, all that shit, So.
Yeah, we can both agree. And cool, man, it was awesome. I overcame a real big fear that I had, guys. I am like, I don't even know what the word is. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of the water, the ocean.
Oh.
I almost drowned as a kid.
Oh shit.
And it's like a phobia that I've never like fully overcome. You know, like it was like a 12-foot pool, and I had these little floaties in my arms, and the freaking floaties fell off my arms, and my brother had to go in there, and he's trying to save me, and he's like 6, I'm like 4, or maybe 5 and 7, something like that. We're both none of us deserve to really be in there, right? And dude, I'm like kicking him and punching him underwater, and he's trying to help me out, do a solid, right?
You usually sink the savior, you know, that's what happens.
And there was this big old net. There was this long net on an aluminum deal that was like 10 foot. And then my dad put it in there, and we grabbed onto that, and he yanked our ass out there.
Yeah. So the fear of the ocean, I didn't know this. The fear of the ocean is called, Jesus, thalassophobia. 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 It's the intense and often irrational fear of large bodies of water, especially the ocean. There you go.
So I saw this movie Jaws as a kid.
Oh,
you remember those movies? Jaws 3D. Dun 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 dun. And then I just feel like this fucking shark is gonna just go for a little Scooby snack. Doesn't even like the way we taste, because I'm addicted to Shark Week when it comes on. And I just feel like he's just gonna take a bite out of crime just for shits and grins, right? And I'm screwed. Like half my body's missing. And this asshole doesn't even finish the job. And now I got to go through a life like that. You know what I'm saying? And I was watching a surfing tournament on TV. A real famous surfer is like fighting with the freaking shark, dude, on TV. And I'm like, dude, they're not coming out here hanging out with me. I don't need to be in there hanging out with them. So it's not really so much a fear of the ocean per se. It's a fear of sharks.
Fear of what's in the ocean.
Yeah, I'm just like, bro. So anyway, my buddy Roland lied to me, dude. I hope he's watching this shit tonight. He fucking lied to me. There was these buoys. Around, these little floating things, right? And it's to keep the boats out. So this dude said, hey, there's nets. And they put these weights, and these nets go all the way down. That way the sharks don't come over here. And I was so damn stupid that I believed him.
Oh, my God.
So I'm sitting there, I think they call it bopping or something, where you're just like hanging out in I'm like 3 feet, 4 feet deep. And I get toasted, dude. Like I'm like scaling everywhere right now still.
Shit.
And I'm in there for like 4 or 5 hours throughout this vacation. And then the very last day, this guy ties like, hey, just wanted you to know that Roland's full of shit. These things are just floating buoys to keep the boats out. They would never do that because the dolphins or whatever could get stuck in these nets and all this other shit. And I got so pissed off at Roland, bro. Like, it wasn't very long after I found out there was no nets there that I got my ass right back out of there.
They do that in fishing. I think those tuna fishing or whatever. They have the buoys and the weights, and then it goes down, and they just grab the tuna or whatever. I don't know what kind of net you have to put in there to protect you from a damn white shark or something. I don't know.
But dude, the cool thing about the Caribbean is the water's so clear, you can at least know that you're about to meet your maker. So it's not like those murky ass waters like over here, like South Padre Island, where like I'm not gonna get in there. So I'm willing to get in the ocean, but only like over there where I can see like what's going on, so I can at least like punch it in the eye or something and hope for the best.
Well, or be in a boat, one or the other.
Dude, we did the Catamaran cruise, the dinner cruise. That was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I feel a lot more confident on the boat.
Yeah. Well, my wife has an interesting story. We're in Jamaica doing the catamaran cruise. This is like 60-foot catamaran. Anyway, so it's really high from the water, right? So we're drinking, we're having a good time. And then she decides to jump over. And I'm like, okay, let's go for a swim. Beautiful water, whatever. I mean, I think it's like 7-8 feet above the water line, the catamaran, right? And I'm like, okay, so we're in the water. I'm still on the boat. I haven't jumped in. And she thought, she's not the best of swimmers, but the water is flat. She comes around the back of the catamaran, expecting that, they put those ladders down so you can get back out. She just wanted to take the dip, right? There is no ladder. Now I see her struggling, panicking. I go, shit. I jump in. I'm trying to, I grabbed her and she goes like, holy shit. She goes, this is more adventurous than I thought it would be. I go, yeah, well, you don't want to, especially when you're drunk, you don't want to jump in the water and hoping the ladder is there when you show up. But yeah, you don't want to mess with Mother Nature, bro. I'm telling you, you just don't want to do that.
Absolutely. Well, I won't get started because I do have a hard stop in about 20 minutes, guys. And I want to have a candid conversation about short strangles versus covered strangles, because covered strangles have been my bread and butter. As y'all know, in the oil field, we use this term breakout, where you get started in your career, they put you in the warm corner and you break out, right? So I broke out in the stock market full time 2019, 2020. And I started just by owning shares. And then eventually I got introduced to covered calls and then cash secured puts, put it all together. And then, I stumbled into the covered strangle, and that became my bread and butter for about 3 years, full time, 4 years. And then things didn't work out with Robinhood. They're like, hey, we can't have all of these multiple accounts linked to this IP address and all this other stuff. So they kicked us off the platform. We found a home on TASTYTRADE. And they had the LTAs, right, which made my life a lot easier than limited trading authorizations. So it's like TASTYTRADE and I were just meant to be. So we went over to TASTYTRADE, and then I realized quickly what everybody had been telling me, Bill included, Mr. Premium of the Option himself, Lamont, and others along the way, that, hey, on another platform, you just have a lot more latitude to do things. Things aren't as capital intensive, because if your portfolio is large enough, there's this thing called portfolio margin, whereby instead of needing, let's say it's a $10 cash secured put that requires $1,000 in capital, you could essentially do the same trade for like $300 in capital, as an example, right? Just ballparking. So imagine how much more you could do on a platform like that. So I had that conversation going for about a year and a half. And I looked into it strongly. Then I landed on Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab was going to be our guy, right? Like Charles Schwab was going to be our broker. But then we had a real hard time. So we're trying to do it under the LLC. We went back and forth for a couple of months, hands up in the air. And I said, screw it, I'm just going to keep rocking with Robinhood. Because the one thing that I became convinced of right away, and I don't know how familiar you are with Robinhood, the platform, Sergio, but I know that Bill is, because he maintains an account on Robinhood as well.
I have one. Yeah, I have a small account on Robinhood. Yeah.
The fields are horrible.
Yeah.
Like the fields are absolutely horrible. So I would place one trade. My buddy would place another trade on Fidelity, Schwab, or whatever, and they were getting like an extra dollar on every contract. So,
Wow.
A couple 100,000 contracts a year, that's a small fortune, right? A large fortune for some people.
Robinhood ain't free.
So I was like, this is crazy, yo. Because I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it in real time. Place the exact same 200. And that was the other thing that really pissed me off on Robinhood, is they wouldn't let up on this 200 contract limit. And I was just like, okay, so I got to do it over and over and over again if I want to get to 1,000 contracts. So I'm not going to get the same fill as there. So my accounting is a freaking hassle, because of the, I got to input in the wheel tracker and all that stuff. So it was just getting very frustrating for me. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about, is the gimmies and the gotchas, because I feel like the cover strangle is it's a very straightforward vanilla strategy, right? The short strangle is effectively the exact same strategy, but it requires less capital, but it also requires more careful management. So I would like for you guys to speak on your experiences, because I'm sure both of you all have experienced the short strangle and the covered strangle. And at what point would you say it makes sense for someone to graduate, if you will? Because I'm on year 5 in my journey full time, and I can say that, I love the Robinhood platform. It's the best screenshot in the world, right, for what I do, because it's so it's so appealing to the eye, right? It's visually appealing. It's easy to understand what's going on. But dude, they just don't offer the tools that I need. I felt like I was going blindly, dude, like not knowing my extrinsic value, not having all of the data points on one page versus having to go like back and forth all the time. I was like, dude, it's actually a lot harder to place trades on Robinhood. Whereas now, thanks to the right click, I can get shit done a hell of a lot faster on TastyTrade and move on with my life. So what would you guys say? Who wants to tackle it first? How much experience do you think you need to be able to graduate from the covered strangle, traditional covered strangle, into the short strangle, so you can maximize your bankroll, maximize your leverage, your mind capital as well, so that you can, theoretically make, and what I feel is virtually twice as much money as running the traditional covered strangle?
I can start, Sergio. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a certain amount of time. I would say, having gone through this, maybe a couple of years, and definitely at least one or two downturns in the market. It doesn't have to be a full blown crash, but definitely, feeling like you're under the gun, and your puts are all coming in the money, and you have to make decisions on whether you're going to take shares, roll, but you don't want to roll them too far out and kind of tie up that money. Just going through that battle a couple times will really help you understand, when you probably should roll, and kind of help you make the right decisions, so that when you are doing something that's uncovered, it becomes more robotic. And there's a maturity level as well, where, being willing to take a loss, I'd say, if you have naked calls, and you collect a lot of premium on the put side, and you say, what, rather than try to get smoked on this as the stock is going up and up and up, maybe just take a loss and just regroup. And that's kind of just I guess a level of maturity in the market that I don't know, it's a long-winded way to say I don't think there's a specific amount of time, but I think you have to be a little bit battle tested, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with most of it. And I'm a huge believer in know your risk, obviously. And a lot of people, I don't think, know their risk before they get into, let's say, naked strangles. On the naked strangle, you have obviously limited downside, which is zero.
Right.
But then on the upside, you have massive risk, right? So, but then there's rules that you have to set up for yourself. But how long should it take you to do naked strangles? Number one, you should have sufficient account equity to be able to do these things. A lot of people are undercapitalized, and then they blow accounts. I think that's more important than how long it should be. Maybe you're a good student and you take you 6 months to fully understand. And when you get your car in the race, your car's engine is not big enough, and then you just kind of get lapped around, right? And then definitely education, right? Know your Greeks. Greeks are the most important thing in an option seller or buyer's life, because not every time you need to sell options. You can buy options, and all these other things, implied volatility and things like that. And I feel like these days, such as Robinhood, has made democratized trading to the point, and gamified to the point, that most people don't even understand what they're doing. They YOLO, all this, HODL, whatever, all these acronyms, and they fail. However, I think if you do understand all these things, and I think, strangles are an important part of your toolbox. You should have it in your toolbox. It shouldn't be the only tool you're using, right? Like a carpenter, you have 50 tools. Some tools you use all the time, some tools you use very infrequently, and sometimes you use a tool once a year, but then if you don't have the tool, you can't complete the job. So that's the way I look at the trading. Is my toolbox full? Do I have all the tools? Because for each situation, there is a tool that's necessary. And if you don't understand the risks of using that tool, losing a finger or two for potentially, then you shouldn't be using that tool. You should have your safety goggles on and things like that. So my point in all this, I don't think it's related to time. I think it's more related to, bankroll. And one last thing I would say about any strategy is that to do strangles, obviously you have to be option level 3. You have to be approved for that. And once you're approved for that and you start running strangles in a margin account, you will get the false sense of security of like, because you will be able to collect a lot of premium with very little money.
Yeah.
But on the upside, especially on the upside, downside is problems too. On the upside, you can run out of that money very, very quickly because it's being marked to market every second of the day. And
Do you want to explain what that means? Because I feel like that is a much more nuanced term that somebody with your experience realize. Mark to market is something that I feel like half of the people watching do not know.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I have a, finance channel. I talk about this all the time. For me, the most important thing is the scoreboard. Okay. My scoreboard that I've been looking at for years is on Tasty. I'm not on Tasty. I'm on TOS, but I think or Swim, but it's very similar to Tasty, because Tom built both and sold it. So for me on the TOS, the most important number is on the upper left-hand corner. If you have a Think or Swim account, what is that? That's called net liquidation value or equity, net account value. Okay. So going back to mark to market, let's say you have 10 positions on and markets open and stocks are moving, underlyings are moving, and you have option positions on, and each position, short or long, is getting valued at a certain price every second of the day. Okay. And it's being marked to market. Whatever the market price is at that second is your positions changing, and hence your net liquidation value is changing. Right. So if you do watch that, it's like a roulette wheel, right? On green days, you're happy. On red days, you're sad. But that is my number one go-to. My only scoreboard. So I could not care less what's in my account. I have, at the moment, I probably have 6 or 7 different positions on, some short, some long, some directional, some neutral, whatever. But what I watch is I'm watching my net account value. That's changing every second with marking to market valuations of the underlying positions. To me, the important thing is to see that and have a limit of where to cut things off, because let's say some position is going against you or about to blow up or something bad is happening. Have a number in mind. Okay, let's say I started with $100. I'm going to close all positions in my supermarket basket, I call it, all of them when I get to $80. The winners, the losers, everything, because I don't want it to go to 79. Yeah. And that's going to be your saving grace in whatever you do. Strangles, covered strangles, poor man's cover call, whatever you're doing. So my thing is I always watch account equity. Is your account equity hitting all time? Yes, drawdowns is natural. It's going to happen. But where is your account equity? And it's very easy to figure it out. Now, even if you have deposits or withdrawals during the year, you can take those out and figure out what you're doing, because ultimately we're all in it, right, to make money. If I had a $100 account and at the end of the month it's 101, I made 1% this month. As simple as that. Right. Yes, you will have some unrealized losses and gains, and you will have some realized losses and gains during trading. But account equity, account net liquidation value never lies. So never look at or be obsessed with a single position. If you're doing the right things, okay, and if you're position sizing correctly, and if you're doing naked strangles, and if you're dealing with 3 beta stocks, beta is, by the way, if S&P 500 moves 1%, if you're dealing with a 3 beta stock, that stock usually moves 3% up or down. Right. If you're in high beta stocks and you're doing strangles, you're going to have a nice roller coaster ride. Most likely it will turn out okay. But what will happen is that you really have to watch those a lot closer than if you were doing a 1.2 beta stock. It's like watching paint dry. Theta, which is time decay, is going to work in your favor, and ultimately you're going to collect a lot of that premium. But honestly, TJ, I don't think there is a time. But have the Greeks down. Understand, what beta your portfolio is at. I mean, understand implied volatility. And in a market that we're in at the moment, today's market, I don't remember in my 30 years overnight risk being this immense, right? Overnight risk is high. How? World War III, or Trump says something, or something happens, or this happens. And if you sized incorrectly, and if one side of your strangle is getting blown up, you're going to get hurt. So also have your guidelines. Okay, you sold a naked strangle. You're getting really close to the call side. Do you panic and cover a roll, or do you wait until? My rule of thumb when I do naked strangles is I will roll when I add the premium to the strike and we're at that point. Let's say on a $50 stock, I sold a 60 call and a 40 put.
Break even.
Right? And I took in total of $3 for both sides. If the stock gets to 63 on the call side or 47 on the put side, I will roll. That is the rule of thumb. You don't have to panic when it gets to 58. It's okay. But when it gets to 63, you need to roll. You may roll them both up, or you may just actually roll the call side up. But yeah, I mean, you have to set your rules and go with it.
Sergio, you're saying just when it reaches your break even.
Yes. Yeah. When it reaches my break even, meaning like I said, let's say if I'm a 60-40 strangle, naked or short strangle, and I took in a total of $3 at 63 or 47, that position either needs to be closed or
managed.
Roll.
Yeah.
That's it.
Can you also talk about portfolio margin versus a regular margin account? Because you came on here one day and you talked about the little formula or whatever that they use.
Yeah. Well, each brokerage is different, right? There's two types of margin. There's span margin as well. Span margin is something a lot of brokers are using these days. You know, Tasty, I don't think uses a span, and I don't think TOS uses span either. But sometimes when you sell a naked put, TJ, you will notice that the requirement does not match that 20% of the underlying minus the out of the money amount plus the premium, because that's the rule of thumb. That's what CBOE wants you to do. That's what the clearing houses want you to do. Sometimes it'll be the full amount. Although you do have a margin account, brokerages do change the requirements up to on an individual basis. For example, crazy stocks like CRWV or Circle. I mean, look what happened to that thing today. If you had a naked strangle on that thing, you'd be strangled and naked at the same time. So, but what I think is that you have to understand the nuances. You have to understand what your broker is using. But the rule of thumb is 20% of the underlying. That includes equities, less the out of the money amount plus the premium is for naked options in most brokerages, and that gives you so much leeway to do more size.
Yes.
But then
it's dangerous.
But then you will be like, oh my God, I just took in 5,000. It only took me $8,000 worth of buying power to do this. Yeah, but if that thing moves like 2 points against you, you are looking in world of hurt. So,
So what I've been looking at is I've been looking at my buying power utilization. So I'm trying to keep it under 75%.
Okay.
Eventually, I want to. The Tasty Trade way is 50%. So Tasty Trade has a lot of educational videos, guys, and I have been binging these educational videos. This dude, Tom Sosnoff, there's probably a reason why he's referred to as the Godfather of options. Him and Tony Batista, my goodness, dude. Like they have forgotten way more than I'll ever learn about options or care to learn about options. And then you have Dr. Jim, Mike in the whiteboard. Like there's just a wealth of knowledge on the Tasty platform or on their channel. Their YouTube channel's got like 500,000 subscribers or whatever. And I binge watch. I've been binge watching going on 5 years now.
Yeah.
And I've been binge watching 2 to 3 hours a week. It's more than anything else that I watch. And I just keep watching it. And it's like the same stuff. So it's repetitive, right? But they do a lot of back testing and stuff. It's like the one thing that I learned. The most recent thing that I learned is There's literally only a 1% difference between owning shares and selling a covered call versus selling an in-the-money put. So it's what's your flavor, because it's the exact same shit.
Yeah. Well, I think
I'm a covered call guy, right? I like owning the stock. I'm a covered call guy, but
I say it. I say
it's
it.
the same shit.
I say it on my members group every day, facetiously sometimes, but I say it. Did I mention I hate cover calls?
Yeah.
And I mean it most of the time, actually. I think on markets that like we had in 2023, 2024, cover calls actually hurt a lot of people by not realizing their true potential because stocks were just mooning, you know what I mean? And then you're into rolling and kicking the can down the road, rolling and kicking the can. I'm like, bro, you just gotta let it go once in a while. But anyway, so yeah, I think educate yourself, man. Even if you're comfortable, make sure your account size is proper. Don't overstretch, position correctly. The 3 P's always, I mentioned this before here: patience, position, and planning.
Yeah.
Have a plan when shit goes sideways. Market drop 20%. What is your plan? What is you let things get way deep in the money and then hope that to God the market comes back and saves your ass?
Yeah.
It's not going to work. It happened this time, and it probably will happen again. But how did your account react to a 20% drawdown where some stocks went down 40, 50, 60%, like good names, like a Robin Hoods and Palantirs and if you're short puts, and how do you deal with that? Do you just let it go, put your head in the sand, and say, "Okay, it'll be okay one day"? That's when you become from a trader to a long-term holder. I know a lot of those.
So what I like now is I would like a little bit of help, because I feel like the trade that I have been doing the most.
I have a strangle for you, by the way, if you're interested.
Well, we'll hear it at the very end, okay?
Okay.
I want y'all to help me name the trade, because right now I'm just calling it TJ the Wheel Deal Strangle, right?
Okay.
But there's Jade Lizard, there's the Tiger Striped Zebra, there's all kinds of stupid shit on TASTYTRADE, okay? So I want to name my trade, because what I've been doing, I call them the backstop trade. Is I take one that I'm willing to die on this hill, and it's SoFi at $12, January 2025, and I go super freaking heavy, right? It's totally ill-advised, but these trades they're responsible for probably half of the gains in the portfolio. I mean, freaking Clean Spark just made so much money on these backstop trades the last couple of years. Did the same thing with SoFi, even got away with doing them in the money. Yeah, like this is like selling leaps, leaps instead of buying leaps, selling leaps. But then I got into the TASTYTRADE platform, and I have become enamored on Robinhood with the poor man cover call.
Yeah.
Buying the leap and then selling the call against it. So people that say you can't do naked on Robinhood, well, you kind of can when you do the poor man cover call. Because make no mistake about it, that short call is freaking naked, right?
Yeah.
On Robinhood, but you got to buy the leap to at least back it up a little bit. They make you buy the insurance policy first.
Yeah.
Well, I am a fan of collecting premium. I am a premium collector. I am a data collector. So what I've been doing, instead of buying the leaps, I've been selling the leaps, and then I sell the short calls against those leaps to stack some premiums along the way, knowing that if shit gets out of hand, I will just cover it immediately. I'm not going to be fighting all crazy. And I can also roll up the puts for a lot more credits to give me more latitude to deal with the short call, right? So I've been doing that with SoFi successfully for about, I don't know, the day we moved over to TASTYTRADE. So whenever that was, I have to look at it. I think it was sometime in February, I believe.
Okay.
And I am no longer ever going to do a poor man cover call. I'm doing the TJ rich man call. I don't know what you want to call it, the short man, the super strangle. I feel like I want to call it the anaconda of premium, because this thing, you get so much premium on the short put. You get so much premium on the short put, and you're getting the premium on the short call. But the thing of it is, going back to my college days, I used to say it all the time. The thing of it is,
Okay.
It requires such little capital. It's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah, that's the false sense of
TJ,
security, man.
It's
TJ,
scary.
you've been calling it a backstop trade when you're just selling a
But-
long dated put, right? But you're just selling.
That's what I've been calling it the backstop trade. But then now, and then
You're selling calls again on the other side, right? But it's the naked backstop or something along those lines. But the backstop's already catching on, right?
Yeah. So I wanted to add the backstop trade. So what are we calling this little new wrinkle? Because everybody buys leaps, or not everybody, but people buy leaps. The 4-man cover call has been going on for a long time, and nobody dogs the strategy. I have never liked it. I have never liked that strategy. I just don't. So I like to collect premium. I don't like I bought these insurance policy on Tesla, and that damn insurance policy, the theta is like $4,000 a day. So I'm not a fan at all of leaps in some circumstances. I just don't like them. So I know they printed, made a couple $1 million with them last year, and it's great. There's a time in the season for everything. That's why you need multiple tools in your tool bag, because depending on the market that's in front of you, you got to trade that market, right?
Yeah.
Last year, a really, really beautiful situation for leaps. This year, under certain circumstances, you find the right stock with the good potential and the low IV. I've been a fan for leaps for SoFi this year on the buy side, and I made a couple $100,000 with them early on the tasty trade. But then I was like, dude, I'm tired of being out the theta. I want to be long theta. I don't want to be short theta. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I sold 3,000 short puts on SoFi, and then I've been selling only 1,500 on the short calls. But then as an insurance policy, because I felt like they weren't going to lower the rates, I sold an additional 3,000. But keep in mind, this is the caveat. I can just go buy the damn 300,000 shares, right? And call life good. So this thing is not going to get away from me or out of control. I'm not going to fight it. And it's SoFi. This has to be a very super high conviction situation for you. It just happens to be for me for reasons that I can't even explain anymore. I'm just so into this thing. Anthony Noto is by far and away my favorite CEO, and I'm rocking with it. You know what I mean? I'm rocking with it, and it's worked for me, and it's going to continue to work. Fucking Tesla's named Sophia. You know what I mean? So this is how deep we are into this thing.
So the rich man naked call, because you have the money to buy the shares.
Yeah, but it sounds so. My wife's not going to approve that name. We gotta come up with something else. Like, what are we gonna call it?
I'll think about it. I'll text you.
The poor man covered call. The poor man covered call is a thing, right? It's a PMCC is a thing.
Right.
So
okay, hold on a second. So you're not buying leaps. You're selling the long dated leap. You're selling the puts. Is that what you're doing?
yeah. So I'll show you. Let me see if I can.
So you're selling. Let's say SoFi is 15. So you're selling the
right here. Let me see if
10 puts and selling the 17 calls. But net
so
for
here
next
we go.
month.
Is it on the screen or no?
Okay.
Is it on the screen?
Yeah.
So here's the position. I got 3,000 short puts at 14. The extrinsic value is 549,000. I was up 150,000 on them, but I was at 13.
When do they expire?
January.
Okay.
And then I've got 3,000 short calls at 16, 30 days from now. And next Friday, when I'm 21 days out, I'll be rolling them out, and I'm going to put a 17 handle on them just to be comfortable. And I'm doing the tasty trade away, right? Rolling 21 days to expiration. Eventually, this thing's going to have an 18, 19, 20 handle, and I'm so good about it.
Instead of buying the call, he's just selling the put long dated, and he's still selling,
but I collected all of this premium, right? And then I brought in a couple $100,000, or not a couple hundred, because I'm down on this, but I brought in about 130,000 on the short calls.
Right. So
this is the fourth cycle, by the way, on the short calls. I've had these calls expire worthless 3 times, and this is the time that I chose to go heavy, because there's enough cash to where I could just buy the damn shares, deliver the shares, and all the pain goes away.
I mean, it's like a calendar strangle. I mean, you're naked. You're sold both sides. It's like it's nothing different than a short strangle, honestly.
It is.
But what you're doing is, your calendar, your times, your expirations are different. So it's a calendar, and I'm looking at it as, I mean, it's a naked strangle. And did you go to 2026 January or 2027?
No, I'm 2026.
Okay,
Eventually,
so they're not exactly leaps either. We got only 6
no,
months.
but when I started, it was. I mean, I've been in this trade for a while.
Okay. All right.
It only shows 0 days because you know what? If you do order chain here, hold on. If you do order chain, you're going to see that there's already 5 rolls here, right? So I've been in this thing for a while.
Okay.
So essentially, this was my backstop trade. This is what I always do to make good money, and they've just worked. Like I don't want to sound like our boy BR, but I'm undefeated on these. and we know one day it's not going to work out, but it has so far, and so far is just ideal for this situation in my mind. Yeah. So right now the extrinsic value on this thing is a 747. I'm hoping it doesn't crash like some 747s, but that's the extrinsic value on this trade right now. And it took me from being down a couple $100,000 on SoFi to now being up 18,000 year to date. So this thing has really been a saving grace for me on that particular ticker. But what can I call this trade? Because I asked Siri, or I asked AI, and they were like, well, it's short strangle and a covered strangle, but it really isn't, and it wouldn't give me a name. So there's not an official name for what I'm doing here.
Well, it's not a covered strangle. You don't have the shape.
Not done on the underline, so it cannot be covered. But it's not.
It's a short strangle with different dates. It's a short strangle with different dates. So, like he's saying, it's
a short calendar strangle.
But that's the same. That's also true for a poor man covered call, right? So that's why they just gave that a name. So you can call it whatever the hell you want to call it.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I want it. That's why I'm having this conversation. Is because it functions exactly like a poor man covered call, except instead of buying the leap, I'm like, why the hell not sell the leap and grab all those premiums? And
it's the other side.
It's using less buying power. Because if I go buy all those damn leaps, I'm out a lot of money, and then now I need something to happen with that stock, right? Whereas if SoFi just flatlines and stays above, in this case now 14. When I started this thing, I was at 10. I went from 10 to 11 to 12 to 13, now 14. I keep locking in more premiums on the put side.
TJ, if you think about it, they call it a poor man covered call because they're saying that the long call that the call that you bought
it's cheaper than the shares,
covering it, right? So you'd have to, in theory, say leave it as a naked call, something naked call, right? But normally it's the poor man covered call because you can put up less money.
Of course.
This is just you're saying like you're willing to put all that collateral up. Now with portfolio margin, it works differently, but like you're willing to put that money up to get the return of that premium.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I was saying that the rich man naked call, but you said it won't get approved. So let's just go with premium anaconda, like you said.
I feel, and let's use y'all's expertise and the chat. We have a lot of smart people that are recognized on the chat as well. Pound for pound, I just feel like it's a superior strategy to the poor man covered call.
Well, it's a completely different strategy too. I mean, it's not like you have. I mean, this is more risky, obviously, because you're naked both sides. And on a poor man's cover call, right? You long the leap and you're short.
But I'm only naked because I choose to be, because I can buy leaps at any time as insurance.
Of course, I understand that, but I mean, you're more averse to market risk, right? You're more averse to market risk. Tomorrow, market tanks and SoFi goes to 10. What are you gonna do with your, January 26 $14 naked puts, right? So what I'm trying to say is, there's risk involved. I mean, this is a pretty risky strategy, to be perfectly honest with you, but your account can handle it. That's why I said, if you're going to do things like this and follow TJ or follow me or whatever, and then don't complain because you don't have the knowledge. Two, your account can handle the hit.
Yeah, because you got to look at the buying power, right? Like, there's a lot of buying power there. I can absorb those 300,000 shares if I wanted to cover it that way. It'd be a hell of a lot cheaper to just buy 3,000 leaps and call life good, eliminate all the risk to the upside, right?
Yeah.
The risk to the downside is SoFi could go to zero. I don't think that's true. What's the floor on SoFi in my mind? Probably 10 to 11 bucks. But that's why we make a bet with the market. That doesn't mean that that's true. That statement isn't true. It's my belief, right? This is anytime that you sell a put or a call, you're basically just putting money on your opinion because that's all it is at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, you look, being naked, puts, calls, whatever, cash secure puts, whatever.
Can we talk about another one? How do you feel about this one? Because I'm still in it, Sergio. We got the Palantir 120 on the put. I've increased the strike on the put because I was getting pressure on the call side. So I wanted to bring in more credits in case of I needed to take on a debit later as we got closer to expiration. But we're now sitting at 30 days out. I'm down on this particular. Well, actually, I guess I'm not. I'm up 225,000. Obviously, there's been 4 rolls already because I've been in this trade for a while now. So I still feel good about it. On the next roll, if I choose to stay in it, because I'm wishy-washy right now, I'm thinking maybe I just not do the tasty trade way and just, if it keeps staying in this zone, I keep milking this precious theta, which is quite a bit, right? About $10,800. If you guys see over here, this is like
I mean,
important.
Their rule of thumb doesn't have to apply to you, right? So, everybody is different, but that they look at more statistically. That's the sweet spot, what they do. But that doesn't mean it. You see, each underlying is different. You can't apply like Palantir, selling 45 out, covering at 21.
Correct.
You can, it's all different. So you just got to figure it out. But I think Palantir is like a massive wide trading range until earnings catch up, which could be another 6 months, to be honest with you. Well, it doesn't mean you can't go to 110 or it doesn't mean you can go to 160, but I think it's somewhere in that range. I think you're pretty safe selling the Strangle.
Yes, I'm here at 120 and 150. I just, truth be told, on the next cycle, I would be a lot more comfortable being able to go back down to 110 on the put and go ahead and increase the 150 to 160 and hopefully I can bring in another couple $100,000 in credit.
I think stock is ahead of itself, but it's not going down. So if it's not going down, does that mean it's going to go up? No, probably not. But
look, a lot of what's crazy about that stock is people just love Palantir so much, dude.
There's a hand of God in that stock. It just doesn't go down. I mean, you see sellers coming in and there's like 2 hands waiting like this. Okay, give me all the shares you can. And,
hey, naked cash strangle. How does that one sound?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Naked backstop cash. Naked. I don't know. We'll find something. But I want to coin. Hey, TJ's backstop triple play.
There you go. I don't know backstop, but definitely triple. Some sort of something's happening there. I don't know. I'm just, man. I think TJ, don't fall in love with anything. Things change and you adapt, you move on, you adjust. It's just a long game, man. You're playing, right? As long as you don't lose fact of that, it's fine. Whatever you do, you give it a shot, you give it a try, and just because it worked 3 times in a row doesn't mean it's going to work the next time. You just got to be all aware. That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling you not to do it, this and that. Just be smart about it.
In front of you guys, like right now,
market conditions. Market conditions change.
Who knows?
Look, SoFi has been doing great, right? It doubled actually from the low. I think low was like low 8s, and now it's up to 15. So a lot of things have doubled from their lows. So, okay, do you keep pressing, right? What do you do? Do you wait for a pullback, which may happen, may or may not? But I just think. For me, what works for me and what works is my scoreboard. Yeah. My scoreboard is my account equity. Like my account equity is making all-time high after all-time high. That means I'm doing something right. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. You look at your account. I had this much yesterday. I have this much today. Okay. And what about tomorrow? What about the next day? Because it's all getting factored in. Like I said, every second of every day. And that's your scoreboard. That's your true scoreboard. You can do all the rolling, all the rolling up, rolling down, whatever you're doing. Account equity is going to change with what you're doing. It's going to reflect the losses. It's going to reflect the gains. It's going to reflect all of that. And to me, that's my Bible. I don't pay too much attention to. I don't get too high with too many directional wind, too down with losses. I just look at account equity, and because that's my stop. Like, okay, I have a number in mind. If my account equity is 100K, if it goes down to 83K, I'm going to liquidate everything and I'm going to turn the computer off and go away for a couple of weeks, right? You have to have a mental attitude like that. Nobody wants that, of course. But if you keep pressing, you're just going to keep watching that account equity dwindle lower and lower and lower. And then you keep changing your target from 80 to 75. Okay, I'll stop at 75. Okay, I'll stop at 70. And that's how you blow accounts. All you have to do is be disciplined. That's your Bible. That's your scoreboard. That's the truest scoreboard. You can't lie about that. You can't lie to yourself about that. It's looking at you in the face. So that's why I look at it. Simultaneous is your short-term option. No, that's not what you're doing.
Yeah, I did. I wouldn't be having this conversation if I'd already found the answer, guys.
Look, you found something that AI cannot answer. How rare is that?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be wasting my precious time or yours if I already knew the answer. I'm not I'm asking questions that I already know the answers to.
I'll think about it. I know what you're doing, so I'll think about it. And we'll come up with it.
Is it a man? Because I mean, think about it. When you owned a lot, like we're owning a lot of shares, you were doing this all the time anyway. You had a backstop trade on the shares, and you would say like, I have a covered strangle on this to some degree, but they weren't the same dates, right? So it's the same situation as that, except it's just naked.
Yeah,
that's it. You don't have the shares now. So it's no different than what you would do.
And I don't have the insurance policy. Whenever you buy the leaps, you at least have the insurance policy to the upside. The brokers can just like, well, this guy can make good because I can exercise the leaps or whatever, however they can.
I mean, you're short both sides, man. It's a strangle. It's a short strangle, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll have to figure it out.
Anyway, just a little food for thought. Let's end because the wife said that we're going to Netflix and chill. I'm more excited about the chill part. But
okay, may I highly recommend? I started watching it, and then I said I gotta go to TJ's. Tucker Carlson interview with Senator Cruz is on.
Okay,
it's a must-watch for everyone.
The Texas Strangler. Hey, I like that.
There you go. That's a good one. That's it. But it's your senator, TJ, your Senator Cruz, and Tucker went at it 2 hours. It's fascinating. It's a must-watch.
I'll check it out when my wife goes to sleep tonight. You said you had a trade.
Oh yeah. So I was doing my own members live before I came here. So there's a CRWV. Have you CRWV? You guys heard of it?
I'm familiar with CRWV, yes.
Yeah. All right, CRWV. That came public a while ago, and it's just gone bonkers, zonkers, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
So, and it's, by the way, in my 30 years of doing this, it's very rarely that I haven't seen something. So some of you may know in the chat, but you know what a skew is, right? Skew on an option chain. So
where there's more calls or puts.
No, the calls of pricing and put pricing. Like skew in most index puts is higher because institutions hedge and the premiums are a little bit higher. Mm-hmm. So on CRWV, the skew is so high on the put side, it's almost 3-to-1. So implied volatility on the call side is about 65, and on the put side is about 180. Okay. And I'm going out to July. I'm not even going too far. So I was thinking, okay, stock is 170. Exactly. 50 up, 50 down from here. 121, 120, 220. And I priced it for $10, believe it or not, $10 premium for July 18th. Okay. And then I clicked saying, let's do the trade. Guess how much Schwab or Thinkorswim requirement is to do 5 of those strangles? $8,600. You're going to take in $5,000 going to July 18th for 5.
It's crazy.
So, anybody feel lucky?
Corey.
220, 120, 100 wide, $10. So I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
What is it's CRVW or something like that, right?
Yeah, CRVW, right?
So $100 wide strangle, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, for 10. So you're not in trouble until 110 or 230.
CRVW. No.
CRWV,
Yeah, Corey. CRWV.
July 18th.
So I'm looking at it here. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me get us back over here to this guy. So let me stop that screen. Let's go present here, share screen. We gotta go this guy.
By the way, markets are closed tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, thank God. Yes.
Thank God.
So here we go. So this is CRWV. I've got the options table. What expiration were you looking at, Sergio?
July 18th.
So this guy right here, 30 days out, and wow, look how big the strip is.
120, 220.
The implied. So we're selling the put. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we're selling the put.
And then selling the call, or
220, yeah.
Or
220 call. Yeah.
So you're right outside the tape. Okay.
Yeah. $10.
$10.
Okay, so with Tasty,
$1,000 for one contract.
yeah, with Tasty, how much does it take with your margin account to do this? Like one contract, so just give the people the right number.
Let's look. $1,697 reduced by the buying power.
Right.
You're bringing in $994 in credit, guys. That's crazy.
Yeah, there you go. So you're 230 and 110.
Man,
and I think stock is done going up. MACD is turning down. You can see the juice coming out of it. Put side maybe more, but then you don't mind buying it at 110. So it should be all right. But yeah, I'm gonna just do it tomorrow. So that's my.
Dude, make sure to, or on Friday, make sure to text me, and and we can maybe we can all hop on your channel. We can do it together.
Okay. Well, I mean, look at the higher ones. Let's just, for curiosity's sake, okay?
Okay.
Let's look at 100 and so we're at 170. Let's look at 70 out. 100 and 240.
Okay, 1 second. Let me get back here. Trade.
Still a lot of money.
Okay, so which one? I'm sorry.
100 put.
Okay, so way out of the money. We're not
even 70 out. Now we're going 70 out instead of 50 out. So, and 240 on the calls. Okay. Do they even have them? Yeah, they have them. Yeah. How much is that?
480. Still 480.
$5. And how much does it cost to do that?
The same, about the same, 1697.
Yeah, a little bit less, couple hundred less.
But you're still getting, you're laying out $1,600 and you're picking up 500. In poker, those are amazing odds.
30%.
Yeah.
For less than 30 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yeah.
And and obviously it has plenty of run. It's got plenty to act full. I
mean, you got to go. You're looking at the 30% up, 30% for 40% up, 40% down.
The open interest. I mean, it's not like a lot. This isn't a super liquid, but I mean, there's.
Well, you're so far out of the money. I mean,
but there's 2,000 customers still.
Yeah.
But
okay. So last but not least, look at the skew. Look at the pricing on the go at the money. Go 170, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Look at the put price. Look at the call price.
$30.
Whack.
Okay, and look at the calls.
At the money, right?
Yeah, 170s.
$13.
Yeah, 3-1.
That's
skew
great.
To the put side, which I have never seen actually. I know why that's happening.
Guys, usually this number is almost identical.
You should be.
Yeah. So this is what's called unusual options activity.
Well, what that's called is it's expected that it's going to take a massive dump.
No.
Because even if you buy those puts at the money puts, and even if the stock drops, you're not going to make that much money.
Right.
But
Yeah, because it has to drop to like 140 before you start getting paid.
Before, yeah, exactly. And then what's going to happen is stock will start going down, the IV will start shrinking actually, and then you actually end up losing money while the stock is going down.
Still hurting. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one. That's the one I have. I think I'm okay with the 220, 120, $10. That's like what is that? That's like 80%.
How did you find that information?
Which information?
Who brought it to your attention, or what brought it to your attention?
Oh no, I've been watching the stock. I've been actually trading it, and it's been like this for a while. The other thing that I watch on these nosebleed stocks that are doing what they're doing, like the other one is CRCL, right? Which came public, and Circle and Coinbase, same thing today, broke out. What I was looking at is on CRWV. Obviously, stock is overpriced, and the option market is telling you that it's way overpriced. But what I was looking at is also I wanted to short the stock actually, physically. And what I do in these cases is that I short the stock and short the put. Okay, so I short the stock at 170, short the 170 put, taking $30. So it's like a cover call, but in reverse. Right? You buy the stock, sell the call. You short the stock, sell the put. And I looked at it, the requirement, the borrow requirement at Thinkorswim or at Schwab to short the stock was 168%. So you have to pay that kind of money every single day that you're short the stock.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to watch. The second that number starts going down, because at the moment, very difficult to short the shares, right? But the second that number goes from 160 to 140 to 120, that means it's available to be shorted now for less money. You don't have to put out that kind of money.
Yeah, but on the very top, I don't know if you noticed it. Let me put it back on there. It's exactly like it is with like Neo and other stocks. It has it. You see on that little yellow on the top, it says hard to borrow. Yeah,
it's hard to borrow, but I can short it. I just click the sell button and sell it. But it's 160%, and it's extremely high. Like if you want to go short Palantir, you can short all the million shares in a second. But this one, not really that easy to do, and you're going to pay out of pocket. But so we'll see. I'll put it on Friday. Maybe I'll do the 230, 110 or something, 60 out or something.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. It shouldn't be like that. But then, yeah.
You're waiting for the pricing to go down or the stock price to go down?
When I do the strangle, I'm not expecting anything. I'm just expecting it to stay in between those two numbers. But with all the variables that you have, the put skew being 3x of the call skew, the borrow rates being this high, when they starts coming down, that means stock is about to tank in price. So you watch for those things. And that's why I try to short it every day, and I go click short, sell 500 shares, be short. But then the borrow rates are so high that I'm going to end up paying like $1,000 a day to just keep it short, out of pocket. That's because somebody's lending it to you. They're getting the money. That's where brokerages make a lot of money too, by the way. And
so as that rate comes down, you're saying that's what the optimal time to actually
exactly at that rate comes down, then you can buy the puts, or you can buy a put debit spread, or sell a call and buy a put to a synthetic, whatever. But watch that number. When the borrow rates start coming down, that means it's less expensive to short, and that's when you're going to get it. That's when you're going to get the drawdown on the stock. I don't know how much it's going to tank or whatever, but if you want to put on a directional bet, you should wait for that, as opposed to paying $30 premium for at the money put, which is not going to make you any money, even if the stock goes down.
Right.
And that's why you just watch these things and the relationship between all these things, so you can take a directional. If you want a directional, take a directional, bet on the stock.
Absolutely. Somebody wanted to ask. I wanted to see the TSO position. Got 50,000 shares at 1208. It's currently at 1237. So that part's doing okay. This is a position that I just recently rebuilt. I had done a swing trade on 100,000 shares, and that's why you see the year to date at 416,000. And
TJ, I gotta run.
okay, but I appreciate you, Bill. Thanks a lot for the Excel help.
No problem. See you, Sergio.
Take care, man.
So then I've got 150 short puts at $12, 30 days out, and then I've got 500 covered calls at 17. So all the shares are for sale at 17, and I wouldn't even consider defending them. This is just a swing trade, guys. This is just to help me make more money while I'm figuring out the Tesla position, and I wanted to collect more premiums because try to make more money because I have this massive position on Tesla that is really starting to work out again. But I have these leaps here because I bought all of this protection to the upside. So then
I put on a video out on my channel today, TJ. I'm getting a lot of hate
for what
on Tesla. I said Tesla has been dead money for 4 years, and
it's true.
I'm getting a lot of hate.
Well, I mean, if you look at it where it was and where it is, I mean, yeah, it did a lot, but it ended up in the same spot, right? So that's
today is exactly what it was 4 years and 4 months ago.
Yeah. It's just that if you're trading it though and selling puts and calls, it's been a dream.
I put like on the title, I put hodl or trade. Trading, absolutely.
It's a trader stock right now.
Absolutely, beautiful
stock.
trading stock.
Here has been a hodl stock, right? There's differences.
Well, hodl is if you bought Tesla 8 years ago, it's a hodl for you. But if you bought Tesla 4 years and 4 months ago,
absolutely. Man, Sergio, I appreciate you. Let's give it up for Sergio, guys. Let's give it up for Bill White. Appreciate you having the knowledge. I saw option on the chat. I mean, amazing knowledge. Can't wait to get Sergio and option together. I saw Mr. Premium in the option. I'd love to get him back on the channel someday. I mean, that is somebody that just he has the ultimate saying still from the very first wheelers. We got to remember, we are all the CEOs of our own portfolios.
Yep.
And you got to get good at being a CEO. It's hard. It's hard. But we are all the CEOs of our portfolios, guys. I got to run. I appreciate you guys. TJ, the Will Deal signing off with Sergio as always. Sky stay blue, stock stream. Peace out. God bless you.
I'll text you on Friday when I'm doing the trade.
Appreciate it. Y'all hop on and we can do it live.
Okay, if you want. Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Bye.